Everybody, this is Alrik Bursell, writer-director of The Alternate, here to answer some questions for a Q&A for after the screening at the Berlin Sci-fi Film Festival here in Berlin, which I've been to many years ago, and I wish I could be back, but I'm actually in Italy on another film festival, so same day, same time. I couldn't get to both. So anyways, I'm excited to be able to do this for you guys, and here are the answers to the questions. So how'd you come up with the concept for The Alternate? Well, I've been working on this movie for a really long time. Right after I made my first short film, Strange Thing, I was trying to adapt it into a feature-length version, and that movie is about a couple who discover a portal to another dimension, but through like a doorway in their house. And there's a monster, and it gets crazy, and there's like a possession. But I was trying to write that version of the movie, and it got too expensive. It's like, how am I possibly going to make this movie? As my first feature, it's going to be like a $10 million movie. It's not possible. So I had to think of like, okay, well, if there's going to be a portal, and like what could be on the other side of the portal that's like more scary than a monster that I can actually do. And I just thought about like, okay, well, like imagine the worst version of yourself. Like that's like the scariest thing. So I kind of started with that concept, and actually came up with the ending for the movie first, wrote that, and then kind of, worked out the outline to get to that point, and then wrote it in like a few days. And then that was like almost 8 years ago now. And I took lots of time rewriting it, getting to the draft that we ended up shooting in the winter of 2019. How long did it take to make? So as I said, it was like almost an 8-year process. Like by the time it's released, it'll be over an 8-year process to get the film done. And one of the reasons why was because I was pretty inexperienced when I started working on it. Like I'd only done one short film, by the time I started writing The Alternate. And then I did another one, and then I did another one. And so like during the time of working on this, I probably made like 4 or 5 short films, maybe even more, maybe 6. And then, like over the time I just kind of learned and got better. And the thing that was really hard for me was figuring out the financing and how to raise the money for it. And I just started with the people I knew, a family, and like, just started making a list of everyone who I knew through family and friends and all my friends, and just sort of started circling out from there, and just asking people if they wanted to invest. And, it took me probably from the time I started actually raising money, it was probably around 4 years. So it was probably 4 years of like fundraising, 1 year of not active fundraising because I didn't know what I was doing, but then like maybe 3 years of like actually trying to raise money, maybe 2, something around there. But yeah, it really took a long time to get it done. But I mean, when we shot the movie, we shot it in 2019. It took, I think, 19 days total. So it was like 17 days in 2019, and then we did 2 pickups in 2020, and then the pandemic happened, which was terrible, but it was good for me because I was able to focus on the editing, and I edited it from basically March of 2020 until the fall of 2020, and then that's when I kind of finished the edit, and then the finishing process began, which we had such a low budget that just took forever, so we didn't actually finish the movie until August of 2021. How did you make the 2 different versions of the sets? So yeah, that was tricky. I really wanted to like make sure that the 2 different versions of Jake's house were like the same but different, and that like, okay, in one version he was renting, and then the other version like he had like, remodeled and expanded or whatever. So we basically took the house that we had and then made it smaller for Jake's world. And so my art director, Rob Ryuta, production designer, my production designer, Rob Ryuta, he ended up building a wall with his team inside our actual set, and then that was the wall for Jake's house. And then when we're in all Jake's house, like that's gone, and where the backyard begins, basically is actually still the house. And so we just did some camera trickery to make that work. And actually the very, very back of the garage, of the yard in that house, is where we shot that little other part to show like the dingy, unfinished yard in Jake's house, and it ended up working. But yeah, for the offices, it was 2 sets built right after each other. So we did Jake's office first, and then we shot those scenes, And then, Rob and his team completely rebuilt the whole thing while we were shooting the other part of the movie over probably like 7 days or something. And then we shot the last 3 or 4 days in Alrik's office. So it was really a lot of work and, kind of challenging filmmaking wise, because, you had to shoot one half of the scene and then you had to shoot the other half of the scene, at the beginning of the shoot and one half at the end of the shoot. So like to make sure that the performances matched and everything was right was challenging. But, we had such fantastic actors that that didn't seem to be a big issue. So let's see. How did you make the portal and the visual effects? So we had done a teaser trailer for this, in 2018, I believe, 2018 is when we shot it, and so that was the first time we tried the portal idea, and we wanted to do it practically. Like we didn't want to make the portal 100% CG. So what we did was we projected it. We had just used a projector and projected it on a screen. And the first time around, it was really tough to see the portal because of the way that we had to light the scene for the actors. It just made it really challenging to, to get it to look good. So we ended up doing like a severe amount of visual effects in the teaser trailer to, pump up the portal and make it look good. In the final piece. And so every shot of the portal in the teaser trailer was a visual effects shot. But then when we came back to the feature, our cinematographer, Jason Josepher, was really, really brilliant. And he came up with this idea of doing dual projection of the portal. So we had one portal on one side of the screen hidden and another portal in the set, on set in the movie. And we lined them up to match. So you had double the projection, and we had like a really powerful projector that I borrowed from a friend of mine at a production company here, and that was the one that we put in the back, and then we had like the more standard version in the front, and then doing that together like really made it look good. And like pretty much all the portal stuff where Jake's not interacting with it or someone's not interacting with the portal is all practical, and the only time that the portal is CGI is when he actually goes through, and not even all the time. Sometimes he touched it with his hand. We just were able to do that in visual effects with my visual effects supervisor, Zeke. But yeah, then sometimes we cut holes in the screens, and so they would actually stick their arms through just a hole or their head through. So we had a couple different tricks of how to make that work. And then for the final awesome sequence that hopefully you just saw, which I'm not going to spoil, we did a mix of practical and visual effects for that. And I'm really glad that Margaret Kerrigan and her team were able to come out and do that, because it looked really great, in person. And then obviously I just love, if you haven't seen it yet, oh my God, it's amazing. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And then the hardest part, oh gosh, usually I'd say the fundraising was the hardest, but for me, the shoot was really a challenge because, it was my first feature film. There was so much pressure building up to this. This is the most money that I've ever had to raise or spend on anything creative or artistic that I've done. I mean, I've worked on really big budget sets and produced really big budget videos for other people, but, like as for money that I raised and, that I'm putting on the line, it's like, this is like by far the most, and it's still like a tiny, tiny budget. But I just felt a lot of pressure while making it, and I think, I didn't really enjoy it as much as I could have at all the times, but I think I really did enjoy, a lot of it and parts of it, but it was really, really stressful and challenging for me. I always tell people that it was like me and the cinematographer and Rob, my production designer, we're the three ones who didn't have a good time. Everyone else had a blast, but we were the ones sweating. Although Jason probably had a great time too. I know he was very chill most of the time, but Rob and I, we were stressed out. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I think the editing is really interesting because like we rewrote the movie a lot in post. Like there's so much that changed from when we shot until when we, edited it, because just of the way that the shoot went, like we didn't get some scenes. So we had to like kind of restructure some stuff. Some things that I thought worked didn't end up working, and so we had to change them. So there's just lots of, editorial decisions that really reshape the story, and I think for the better, because in the end, I think it really works well the way it is. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, a long answer to, made short, just like, yeah, production was hard, and then like cutting the story to make it work was also hard. Plans for sequel. Yeah, there's been lots of talk between me and some of my team members about that. Like, there's a lot of ideas I have of where Jake goes from here, and like how the portal will interact with other characters that we've seen in the movie and some that we haven't seen, and the way that this is just sort of the beginning of the alternate universes, and how many alternate universes could there be? Could there be a vast amount? Could there be 1, 3, 5, 100? I think that's really where I want to play with it, and I think it could work really well as a follow-up feature. I think it could probably work even better as a serial show, because it's like, well, there's so much you can explore with going into alternate universes. I feel like there's a really great 10 episode, limited series, or even 8 episode limited series here, where you could really explore, these characters and what happens next after this thing that I don't want to ruin happens at the end of the movie. And yeah, where can people find the movie? So we don't have a website right now. We're just on Facebook, the Alternate Film, also on Twitter and Instagram, Alternate Film. You can find us on there. I'm at alrikbursell.com. You can also just find me on all things. I have a podcast called Making Movies is Hard that comes out every week about the struggles of being an independent filmmaker. And we've talked a lot about the making of this movie. I mean, the podcast was basically designed, or started to chronicle the making of this movie. So we did it 5 years ago, and yeah, it took this long to get there. We thought it was going to be 2 years and done. But yeah, no, it was been a long process. So yeah, you can find me online, and I'd love to hear what you think of the movie. Find me, email me, I'll talk to you. I love to interact with other filmmakers and just other film fans. So yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think of The Alternate. Thanks so much for your time, and yeah, enjoy the film if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, I can't wait to hear what you think. Thanks so much. Okay, Berlin Sci-fi Film Festival, thanks so much for your time. This has been fantastic. I can't wait to hear what you think of the film. And yeah, I hope you guys get to see a lot of other awesome sci-fi films at the festival, where I wish I could be watching films with you guys. But yeah, next time. Thanks so much. Bye. All right.